Ladies and gentlemen, hello, hello. Thank you. Welcome once again to the beautiful Monaco Yacht Club for day 2 of the Ocean Innovators Platform. This event, again, one of many taking place during Monaco Ocean Week. It is, however, particularly unique in the fact that it's entirely dedicated to innovation and cutting-edge technology, all in the hope of conserving the world's marine resources and its oceans. My name is Jeannie Godula, and I am again going to be your MC today as we focus on the essential role of entrepreneurship and investment to develop a sustainable blue economy. First of all, a big thank you to the sponsors of this year's Ocean Innovators Platform, Coty, we just saw that wonderful video, and Barclays Private Bank Monaco. We're so grateful for all of your support. Today we're going to have a new series of sessions bringing together the best and brightest innovators backed by the co-conveners for today's event. A big thank you to our co-conveners as well, many of whom are here today. 1000 Ocean Startups, Ocean Hub Africa, Sustainable Ocean Alliance, Blue Action Lab, Uplink, the innovation platform of the World Economic Forum, and the Solar Impulse Foundation. Now, all of us here today know about the importance of getting the sustainability message out into the world. So if you would please, throughout the day, today and tomorrow, please feel free to use the hashtag MOW23, and also please to tag the Prince Albert II of Monaco Foundation. All of that will help promote this event on social media. Today's event's also being streamed online on the Swapcard platform and on YouTube. I'd like to take a moment now to welcome our guests who are following us from all around the world. You'll all be able to ask your questions at the end of each panel, either here in person or via the platform if you're joining us online. And with that, we're going to get started with some words of welcome from the organizer of the Ocean Innovators Platform. Please welcome the CEO of the Prince Albert II of Monaco Foundation, Olivier Venden. Sure.
I don't want to go to the lectern. Good morning, everyone. Day 2. Keep the energy up. Keep the energy up. I'm glad that you're so many coming this morning. I know the night has been pretty short for many of you, but that's also the importance of the network. Let me say how proud I am to bring to Monaco this incredible community that you represent. This day 2 will be another very rich program, 5 different panels that we will have today. Amazing fireside chats, amazing moderators, so keep the spirit up. I won't speak too long. You have probably heard me and seen me too often in the past days, but I would like to stress make 2 points this morning. First of all, it's a great honor having Coty join the Ocean Innovators Platform along Barclays Private Bank. Coty is a beautiful cosmetic group with a strong root in Monaco, but Matthew will let you know in a second more in details. It's great to embark a cosmetic group in the Ocean Innovators Platform because you know the impact of cosmetic nanoparticles. So we have to embark this industry as well. So that's really important, significant for us. So thanks for your trust. And the second point I would like to make is to thank my own team. I would like to thank Romain, I would like to thank Olivier, I would like to thank Alejandra, Pierre, Nadège, Léa. They're very discreet, but believe me, without them, we won't be here. And I won't be here on stage today. So a big, big thank to this incredible team at the foundation. I wish you a very lovely day. Thank you.
Olivier Wenden, thank you so much. All right, we'll now hear from one of the main sponsors of this year's Ocean Innovators Platform. Would you please welcome with me the Managing Director France for Coty, Mathieu Dufresne.
It works? Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Olivier. And I have to say, I mean, it's a pleasure to work with your team also. I mean, amazing people. Excellencies, dear Olivier, dear friends, good morning. Very happy to be with you today. And as you say, I mean, it's a great honor for me to welcome you today on behalf of Coty. Coty is the official sponsor for the very first time of the Ocean Innovator Platform. And as you said, Olivier, it's no coincidence that I'm here speaking with you today in Monaco. The Principality of Monaco represents for us 75 years of heritage for Coty. And today we take this history even further, reaffirming our commitment to the values of excellence, of innovation and sustainability, which we share in common with the foundation. Actually, Coty history has been linked to Monaco since 1946. The year Dr. Eugène Frezzati was a brilliant scientist with a passion for skin physiology. And he had a breakthrough in his Monaco lab, which is just a few blocks away. He discovered the power of self-regeneration of skin cells. And thus, the Lancaster skincare and sun care brand was born, and we will always, always remain faithful to its Monégasque roots. Today, as the #1 sun care brand in Europe, we have a responsibility. Our responsibility is to pave the way for how we protect both the health of people's skin, especially against skin cancer, and the health of our planet and its oceans. To meet this responsibility, investments in innovation and scientific research are our best assets. We were the very first company to offer a range of sun care products and the only one today to offer total skin protection for against the entire solar spectrum. We were also the very first one to develop ocean-friendly sun care formulas. Today, the expertise of our laboratories and the know-how of our teams, and many are present here with me today, and the team in the factory right next to the palace, benefit our group, Coty Group, internationally. Some of our perfume brands that you saw in the video just before, skincare product, but also makeup, like Lancaster, obviously, Gucci Beauty, Chloé Beauty, Burberry, Bourjois, or Rimmel, to name a few, are also created, crafted, I have to say, and produced here in Monaco. And we have great ambition for our group, and Monaco is at the heart of this aspiration. At Coty, sustainability is the ultimate innovation driver. We launched a sustainability platform that we call Beauty That Lasts. It is our plan to transform the world of beauty and bring innovative, science-based solutions. Reducing greenhouse gas emissions for our own operation by 50% by 2030 is one ambition, notably embodied in our Monaco facilities. And as signatories of the Energy Transition Pact since March 2021, we have, for example, an exclusive supply of green energy for our 2 sites. This sustainable and pioneering philosophy is reflected, obviously, in our product. For example, our sun care range, Sun Sensitive, was the first in the industry to receive the silver cradle-to-cradle certification for ocean-friendly formulas. Thomas, who is with us today, will tell you all about it in the first panel. In fragrances, which is also a big part of our business, we are the first one to use industrial gas emission capture technology that you all know about, but this time to the benefit of the fragrance industry to produce sustainable alcohol with our partner LanzaTech. what we believe that innovation and sustainability are at the heart of a virtuous cycle. And at the time when citizens in general and consumers in particular are looking for quality, but also transparency and sustainability in their product, it is absolutely essential for us to accelerate our commitments. And as some of you said yesterday, sustainability is not a matter of choice. And trust me, it is extremely true for business, especially in the consumer good industry. And we believe that a company that doesn't take sustainability as the ultimate driver for innovation will simply fail, simply collapse in the next 10 years. And why? I mean, just for a simple reason. The Gen Z and the millennial consumers are already considering sustainability to be a key factor in their purchasing behavior. So with this in mind, and with the roots that we have in Monaco, we are very proud, Olivier, to see that the Principality is the place for ocean protection under the leadership of Prince Abed II. And for us, this ocean platform acts as a catalyst for innovation. And partnering with a foundation that promotes a new relationship with nature and supports innovation that can accelerate this change is the opportunity to be part of implementing effective solutions. And I have to say, joining each of you, all leaders in your field, is also a tremendous source of inspiration for Coty, because working together as leaders, we can really drive a change. So I really believe that today, in this room, we are at the heart of that virtuous cycle that we are all mentioning. And to push excellence, to push innovation, gather investment, to be able finally to push sustainability further. So I wish you all to make great connection today, and I know brilliant new ideas will foster. Thank you very much.
Mathieu Dufresne, thank you so much. Thank you again for Coty's support. All right, so you know, for many people around the world, the ocean means mainly one thing, and that's a beach. Coastal tourism, of course, is a big moneymaker for many coastal communities, but of course it can also have a huge environmental impact on their ecosystems. Our first session today is going to take a closer look at what ocean innovators are doing to work toward a more sustainable tourism that's regenerative, resilient, and thriving. Would you please welcome on stage now the panel for this first session: Sarah Andriotti from Shark Safe Barrier, Thomas Lequinqui from Lancaster, Ingrid Morstad from Catapult Ocean, Sam Teicher from Coral Vita, and Marc Garcia Duran-Huey from Underwater Gardens International. This session and the following fireside chat will be moderated by Lovelda Vicenzi, who specializes in moderating events in the climate space. Lovelda, the floor is yours.
Welcome. Hello, folks. How's everybody doing? Yeah, it's the first time you've engaged this way, huh? Get used to it. It's happening for the rest of this session. So this isn't girls against boys before you start to think that that's what I've done here. What I've noticed is that's the order in which everybody's seated based upon what's on the slide. So it's just easier for you guys to be able to track. But just in case people were thinking, what did you do here? Is there like a divide? We get on with each other. It's okay. So welcome to the room. Welcome to this session for today. Thank you all so much for joining us today to have this very important conversation. As many of you may be aware, global tourism and the travel market was estimated to be $8.8 billion in 2019, which is around 10% of global GDP. So not a small proportion. So there's a huge opportunity here. And yet it has a huge impact on the oceans, hence what we're here to discuss today. So our panelists will be bringing a multitude of new and fresh ideas to the table for you to consider and have a think about, as well as discussing what is some of the commercial opportunities that may be available for those of you in the room to partake in. So let's dive straight in then, because it's useful to kind of understand what's available. Many of you have developed, especially Mark, Sarah, and Sam, you've developed macro solutions to support sustainable tourism. Can you tell us a little bit more about what that looks like? Sarah, I'll start with you. So you've got shark-safe barriers. Can you tell us a little bit more about your solution? I think we've got some images that will be displayed behind you as you speak.
Thank you very much, and thank you everybody for being here so early-ish in the morning. Well, what I do with our technology is saving sharks from people and saving people from sharks in area where the people and shark wants to use the same water. And it sounds like a very niche issue, but in South Africa, Australia, and some French islands, sharks are currently getting fished out and killed to protect the local tourism. So what we do is create biomimicry-inspired barrier that are barrier from the shark point of view, not from the people point of view, to keep them separated from surface and swimmers.
So what you're doing is making it safer for swimmers to get in the ocean such that you don't then have a negative impact because there's been a shark attack.
Indeed, and also, you know, the trauma associated with the shark accident is something that we want to prevent so that we can speak about shark conservation.
Fantastic. Sam, I feel like you're quite famous in this room. I mean, we've heard quite a bit from you over the last, I was going to say few days. It feels like we've been here for more than a day, right? Is it just me? Feels like it's been a week, but it's only really been a day. No, I don't mean it's boring. I mean it's been so condensed in terms of the amount of information that it feels like the amount we've consumed should have taken longer, but you've done a very great job of putting it together. Sam, can you tell us a little bit more about Coral Vita, perhaps for those who haven't come across you before?
Sure. So I am the co-founder and chief reef officer of Coral Vita, which is a mission-driven company that grows corals to restore dying reefs. And we also were the inaugural winners of the Revive Our Ocean Earthshot Prize. That is not the normal tourist that we get at the coral farm, though that certainly was a special day. And what we're looking at is how coral reefs are dying around the world. We've lost half the world's reefs since the 1970s. We're on track to lose over 90% by 2050, and that is an ecological tragedy. I've been a scuba diver since I was old enough to do it, but putting aside the ecological wonder of reefs, the biodiversity, they're critical for the economy, particularly in coastal and island nations, for protecting coastlines from storms, for sustaining fisheries, for medicinal compounds, but also for tourism. So we're looking at how that value is also threatened. We use breakthrough methods to grow corals in months instead of decades, strengthen the resilience to climate change threats, but then also are creating a mission-driven commercial model to help fund ecosystem scale restoration.
So, and it's no secret how important coral reefs are from a tourism perspective. I mean, the amount, whether it's snorkeling or diving, people do like to go places where there's a lot of coral. Mark, underwater gardens, tell us more. I know there's quite a lot going on in terms of what you do.
Yes, thank you. Actually, we've been thinking about the problem of sustainability and resilience of the territories from this territorial perspective. So we thought that we need disruptors of the territorial planning systems, and we decided that we needed laboratories for climate change adaptation in these 4 levels. The same way that a city is designed, we designed this small smart city that crosses the social, the cultural, the scientific, and the natural. So it becomes a place where all of these techniques that are arising all over the world can meet in one single place, so everyone can have the experience of how the world could look like if we truly applied everything we already know. It's also an accelerator of transformation and instigator of inspiration for scientific evolution in the way we treat the oceans. So in order to do this, what we have also is understood that is science-based, it's a natural solution that needs to engage through fun. So that's why tourism is so important. And also we need this laboratory to not be dependent on the ways economy is fluctuating, is going to be fluctuating in the next years. So we have seen that tourism is a very resilient industry, is a very resilient income source. Only the COVID was able to stop it momentarily, but then when we opened the door, it started again. So in order to do that, to create these regenerative parks, these climate change adaptation laboratories, we first created a call for transitioning in this new paradigm from engineering, which is sort of Napoleonic, into if you look from the window, you see that we have overimposed the economic system over the ecologic system, and we need to readdress that into a symbiotic positive relationship. So in order to do that, we need to gather the science that is now dispersed and broken down into little pieces in creating communities of scientists that can address the whole ecosystem, not only specific elements of it. So that's what we've done. We created a scientific consortium called Ocean Citizen with more than 200 scientists. This has been funded by the European community with around 12 million euros. And we have developed a software that allows for the orchestration of this knowledge. That is called Reef Hopper, that allows for the creation of these substrates that can create this new idea of colonizing the sea, which is the underwater gardens, this new profession, underwater gardeners. So this can be understood as sea gardens that allow for climate change mitigation tools that integrates from coral nurseries to sponges, all sorts of organisms. And when they have this relationship with tourism, they are regenerative parks. So this is sort of the model that we are producing. And we are already doing the first one in Tenerife, where we have been declared by the local government as a strategic tool for transformation of the island.
That is
So
fantastic. Thomas, often when we think about tourism and we're thinking about climate impact, we're looking at solutions that are directly related to the ocean. And we forget about the tourists who come and do the things that they come and do. So how is, as a consumer brand, how are you thinking about ecotourism differently and how you can help contribute to moving things forward in a more positive direction?
I mean, I think when you think about being a consumer brand, it just shows the power of influence that you have over people to change behavior, to change ways of thinking about tourism, but about just everything that they do on a daily basis. And I think especially about sun care, being the number one, in Europe, you have a responsibility to pave the way for other brands to follow and to really drive innovation. And I feel that it's something that we've really taken seriously. We've been around for since 1946 in Monaco, and in sun care, we were the first to launch a full sun care range in the 70s, which was something that was quite new at the time. But I think for me, it really comes with the dual responsibility. I think that the number one that people don't necessarily think about when they apply sunscreen, but the number one purpose is the prevention of skin cancer, which still today is the number one type of cancer. So that's the primary basic need to cover. And I think we have some outstanding technologies within the Coty group, and thanks to the great work of our scientific teams to develop this really truly patented innovation that allows us to have that superiority. But the flip side to that is, how do you make sure that you provide this extremely high level of skin protection in a way that's respectful, is responsible to the overall environment, and in particular to ocean life? And we know that that's been getting a lot of attention in recent years, but for us it's really something that we've been doing for a very long time, and we've been part of research groups. Our research teams are part of industry-wide and even beyond beauty as well, research groups, in terms of anticipating and really working to fine-tune and create the most respectful formulas beyond regulations, beyond the Hawaii ban, for example, and really try to be as influential and continue to strive to do better for people, but also for the oceans.
I love that you thought about the science of the product and thinking we can still protect skin, and we can take it further to make sure that it's also protecting the planet. Ingrid from Catapult Ocean has invested in more than 50 solutions, all in the ocean space. Can you tell us a little bit more about your business and how some of those solutions you see might be impacting ecotourism?
Yes, thank you. Yes, Catapult Ocean is part of Catapult. So we started in 2016 doing impact investing in Norway. So we're based out of Oslo, Norway, and have done in total 146 investments. But in 2019, we dived into the ocean and started investing there. We talked yesterday about we need some pioneers here and see the unicorns there. So that's what's good. There are some of the investments that we did in 2016, 2017. So we have 4 unicorns in the portfolio, so that's great. There have been 2 of them through the accelerator program. So what we do is we invest in startups in the ocean space and also accelerate them. So I think that's maybe what's good with us. We invest first and then run the companies through the accelerator program. So we really back the companies up. So we say in the beginning that, okay, we do look at a lot of companies. We looked at 1,850 companies last year, ocean and climate. We invested in 23 and run them through the accelerator program, where we focus on both impact, that's the whole month, and investor readiness for them to make sure to get the investments they need to grow and scale. And also growth, because we see companies are different. So some companies need to focus on sales, some need to grow the organization. So they're different. So that's how we work with them. And also afterwards, it's important for us to connect them with our network and connect them with other investors. So we're also part of founding partner of 1,000 Ocean Startups, and I'm in the on the steering committee there, also working with them on impact measurement framework that we talked about yesterday as well, the Ocean Impact Navigator. So that's also a framework that we're using for our portfolio.
The focus on impact and investing, and that you say when people come into the accelerator, the focus is first on the impact and then on the growth. Let's ensure that it's actually making a difference. And what I'm particularly loving about this panel is it's quite blended. We've got startups, we've got investors, we've got organizations that have been around for a while. Thomas, as a brand that's been around since 1946, you've got a long-standing history, and some might say you're leading the market in terms of innovations and taking bold steps in terms of your product, the makeup of the product in order to impact the oceans. Has eco-friendliness and ocean impact always been a part of the brand? And is it, let's be honest, is it a commercially sound route to go down as a long-standing brand with existing consumers?
I mean, I think we're lucky enough to be born and still made today in Monaco. So I mean, when you work with this view, I think it becomes quite obvious that you want to make sure that you can protect it and preserve it. So I think it was always something that was part of the thinking. I mean, obviously business has evolved since the 1940s. So, obviously you, as a big company, you need to make sure that you consistently keep evolving and transform your business so that you can be as relevant and as innovative as you can be. So for me, that's really the spirit that we cultivate at Lancaster. And I think, like I said, we were pioneers in sun care in the 70s. And, it's like innovation. It's like everybody in this room, innovation never stops. It's not something that you do and you're done with innovation. It's a continuous mindset that you always strive to do better and to go beyond what's feasible, because it's otherwise there's not going to be any newness. And I think for us it's always also come from science. It's always the research behind it. We're super lucky to have extremely talented teams of scientists in-house that also collaborate with external partners. We have a really strong partnership with the University of Nice and their Institute of Research to help us, for instance, develop testing methods that can certify that the UV filters that we use in our formulas, they are respectful and they respect the coral cells and their integrity. So that's something that we've been doing for several years, and that we really continue to do as a very core value in our business. And to go back to, I think, the last point in your question around, is it commercially viable? I think Mathieu mentioned it in his intro, but it's something that innovation and sustainability is become part of any business. It's no longer, it's not a trend. It's not something that is a nice to have. It has to be ingrained in everything that we do. It has to be intertwined in your business strategy. And we really see that this really resonates with consumers, because I think we can all relate that you're probably more attracted to brands and businesses that care about the things that you care about. So there's an element of, I guess, relatability that also drives business in the long run.
I love the science that is so integral with the work that you're doing. And it's so true that we are seeing such a trend now in terms of the consumer base that's driving what businesses need to do in order to be, to not just be this large company, but to be something much more relatable to an individual. You care about what I care about. In terms of coastal tourism, we've got some really compelling, new, exciting solutions that are sat here on this panel today. And those business models have scope to have a really great impact. But I'd love for you to bring them to life for us a little bit more. So, Sam, I'd love to start with you. Can you give us some examples of some of the industry stakeholders that you've worked with before and some of the impact and results that you're seeing from the work that you're doing?
Sure, and just to paint a picture in terms of bringing it to life. Again, what we're doing is taking cuttings from living corals out on the reefs, bringing them to farms that are based on land, growing them, and then outplanting them back into the ocean. So literally bringing these pieces of coral to life so that they can help revitalize reef habitats. So again, if you put aside the way that reefs reduce wave energy by 97%, they protect coastlines from storms. Up to 1 billion people and a quarter of all marine life depends on this one ecosystem. They also are essential for tourism economies. And so the two ways that we're kind of looking at it is, one, by restoring a reef for, say, a hotel or developers, that is going to help draw in snorkel and scuba tourists. And even for the people that don't know anything about corals, they often want to see beautiful fish. They want to see colors. They want to see the magic of sea life. And without the corals, they often aren't going to be there. So one of our restoration sites in Grand Bahama, within less than 1 year, we have double the amount of fish at that one site. And it's actually, was sitting on, listening to the panel yesterday, we had partners from the Blue Action Lab in Grand Bahama, while we're also getting funding from the Global Fund for Coral Reefs, working with a forthcoming Six Senses resort there with one of our investors on stage and friends from Vesta. So it's great being in this room and seeing how there's all these different synergies. So the stakeholders include those resorts, they include governments, they include everyone that has a stake in the benefits of the reefs themselves. At the same time, as we're actually selling this service of reef restoration and really trying to transition this away from small one-off grants and donations, which is how the field of restoration has largely existed, our farms themselves are also tourism attractions. So we had that picture before. As we're growing the corals, we've designed the farms to be really dynamic and fun and interactive. So just like you could pay to visit an aquarium, you could come pay to visit our coral farm. So that's just another revenue stream that helps fund our work, but at the same time is also a great engagement tool. And we've got senior executives from not only hotels and airlines, but cruise lines looking at how in Grand Bahama and other places we're planning on working, these farms themselves can be tourism products that can help provide jobs in the local communities and be education centers for students and fishermen. But having this sort of dual approach, having a fun activity, hopefully everyone here will have the opportunity to come plant some corals with us one day. So tourism experiences in themselves through our work, but then also as a result of our work, there still are vibrant, beautiful, fun reefs for people to go visit. And I think it's also just worth mentioning from one other level, even if you're not a snorkeler or a scuba diver, for the people that want to just put their toes in white sandy beaches, in many places those beaches don't exist if there aren't coral reefs. For the people that never go underwater, they just like to fish, that's a tourism experience. And without reefs and mangroves and seagrass, without these ecosystems that we all rely upon, so much of what people pay good money to go experience won't be possible. So we're really trying to create this whole restoration economy that really has great tie-in with tourism and with all the industry stakeholders that are part of this.
Lots of stakeholders, lots of streams of income, really looking quite holistically at what is the potential for the tourism industry. What's also interesting is nobody owns the ocean, right? So frustratingly, when it comes to stakeholders and funding and business models, there isn't a single person that owns the oceans. So Sarah, in terms of, you're keeping sharks and people kind of comfortably away from each other, how does your business model work, and who are your key stakeholders really in bringing your business to life?
It's complicated. Well, because you're right in saying that nobody owns the ocean, but it's also everybody's responsibility. So in our case, we are not as developed as Sam's business. We just landed our first client. As soon as I'm back, I'm going to fly to them. And our business model works by tailor building a barrier in the area where it's needed. So we have to speak with the local beach users, with the local municipality, and ask them where do they want to be protected from sharks. And when we started doing that, it was for saving sharks. As we've been developing the business and working on that some more, we realized it's much more complex than that, because it touches into, like I mentioned, people's trauma. It touches into allowing more people to enter the ocean without this fear, and it allows to start a conversation around shark conservation, research and education. What I would like to also share with you is how this technology doesn't just fix this problem, it also creates an artificial reef once it's in, and how the maintenance of this technology can also create jobs for the local community. and how we can, like I mentioned, start a conversation around these shark that we didn't have before.
So many different layers to it. I was looking at some of the numbers about the impact of a shark attack on the local economy, and the numbers are staggering in terms of the number of years it takes to recover because people are just too scared to come. So you've got that kind of immediate fear factor, and then you've got the ongoing benefit of, well, now you've got an artificial reef that attracts the fish, and so kind of similar outcomes that you'd get from something such as the work that Sam's doing with Coral Vita.
Add something. Sorry, I'm doing a poor job of being a scientist here. You want the numbers. So every time there is a shark accident, they actually calculated a 40% reduction in tourism booking. A little island like Reunion have been losing 20 million euro every year since 2011 because of the shark accident. The beaches had to be closed. The municipality is liable if accident happened. So the numbers are huge.
Yeah, I could see you wanted to jump in there, Sam.
No, I think I'll just as another shark stat, which I always found fascinating. One is that more people die from vending machines every year than shark attacks, but there still is this driving fear.
Exactly.
Like it's hundreds of millions of sharks and 6 to 12 people every year from shark attacks. At the same time, there's also a study done a few years ago in Palau, right? Because of shark finning, a few $1,000s for every shark that's killed, but over its lifetime through tourism, for people that do want to also see sharks and like its value is over $1 million. So the idea that you also are protecting sharks for their own sake, let alone how much that drives tourism, it's a really great solution.
Thank you. Indeed, New Caledonia, they just, a couple of years ago, they took the bull shark and the tiger shark out of the protected list so that the fishermen can kill them following one shark accident they have on the island. And in 2023, that is just not right. It's unacceptable.
There's so many synergies and interconnectedness in terms of the ocean and tourism. And Mark, I'm sure you see this all the time with your business model, bringing so many different facets of business and ocean life together. Can you just dive a little bit more and bring it to life a bit more for people like, this sounds fascinating?
All right, but previous to that, sorry.
Go on.
The truth is that there also this dispersion of, I believe that the change is systemic, and we're trying to orchestrate this nowadays. And one of the roles that our park does, and I think that altogether we may have the impact that we want, no? But one of the things that I always live is this idea that when we create these gatherings, we all agree, we are all going in the same direction, but then we go out in the street and nobody cares. So one of the things that we're trying to do is to make the discussion present in society, and not only in somehow the highly educated society, but among the substrate of what's going to produce the political action. So that's one of the roles of the park. It's an activist in a way, no? It's an activist where everybody can come and be a part of it. Having said that, also what the model is about orchestrating and gathering all of these innovations and solving the decision making that needs to be behind, and solving the awareness and solving the ignorance that goes on the direction of making those sort of decisions. So it's an educational place. It's a place where you can share, I'm sorry, I'm talking to them, but I'm so engaged. It's about how can we come together? Because I believe that somehow climate change is so urgent. It's a big opportunity. I think it's the best thing that could happen to humanity, because it's going to force us to face these strong facts and just coming together. And I believe that we are able to come together. We can solve systemically all of these little problems that we're facing all alone somehow. So I don't know if that. So in terms of what's the experience of the park, how is this becoming attractive? Is beyond an attraction for nerds? Is because we live in a moment that everyone wants to be immersed in something. So we have gathered the best immersive technologies on one side and the most amazing immersive analogic games and analogic experiences that you can create. So you can have a journey during a day and through fun discover all the facts about climate change adaptation, all the harsh facts. but not from an energy of, we don't want to create the Louis XIV effect, après moi le déluge, mais we want to engage people in a positive way. Because most people say, okay, what can I do about climate change? So coming to one of our parks means, okay, you become an activist and your action matters, not only through your money that you're paying for the park, but also through the activities that you're playing, becoming an ambassador of these values, no? The values of climate change adaptation.
Really bringing the, dare I say, common person. It sounds really bad when I put it like that. But, the individuals who aren't necessarily always living and breathing this space into the world in a way, into the climate impact, ocean impact space in a way that doesn't feel quite so you're bad, you haven't got this right, you need to care, but to really kind of capture the hearts and minds of people to compel them to want to do better. So we have lots of solutions and lots of ideas and lots of things happening, but they all kind of require a bit of money, don't they, Ingrid? And when it comes to that, and that's part of the reason why a lot of people in this room, like, how do we get the money? Where does it come from? What commonalities have you been seeing in successful businesses that have a positive impact, particularly in the space of coastal tourism? Is there a common success thread for those organizations?
Yeah, that's $1 million question.
I know, that's why I'm asking it, because that's what they're thinking.
Yeah, like yesterday, it's like not one size fits all here either. It's, of course, looking at the team, looking at the business model. That's maybe what's difficult here with the business model, because you need to find a payer. You need to find, okay, you know the problem, you know the solution, you have the solution, and that needs to fit, but also the impact, be clear about that, but then, okay, who's paying for this? Who's gaining from this solution? So that's where you really need to dig down and analyze. So who's gaining from, who's willing to pay? We have some startups, of course, multiple revenue streams. That's investor's dream. If you can find that, so you have multiple legs to stand on. So we have a company, Carbon Wave, in our portfolio, who's like sargassum is really a big issue for the industry, tourist industry in the Caribbean. So they're removing sargassum from the beaches. And also using that as a resource. So I think that is also good for us. We see, okay, they can use both cleanup, they get paid for that, and also as a resource, they get paid for that. We've seen other solutions as well where they want to sink the sargassum, but then that's when the impact part of us think, okay, what happens then? What's happened on the seabed if you're just dumping something that's not supposed to be there? So we're thinking the whole circle here, but I would say business model and customers, that's maybe the main parts.
And what I'm hearing as well is there's that holistic element. The more touch points you can have that can drive revenue and impact, the more exciting and interesting it is to an investor.
Yeah, absolutely. Just also different customers. So if you rely on one customer, that's a bit very narrow. So you should also think about different customers. We have also Evo in our portfolio. They're targeting the leisure boat industry in Norway, because we have 1 million leisure boats in Norway and quite a few here as well. So if some of these could be electric instead of diesel engine, that would be probably a good impact for Monaco as well. But they also targeting the fishing industry, because for the fishing industry, it's the salmon gets stressed with the noise from the engines. So with electric engines, it's a better solution, and it's also they don't spend like hours out in the sea, so it's enough to have 1 hour's full speed with this engine instead.
See, I'm working it for you. I'm gonna get the information out of her. Don't you worry. One last question for you, Ingrid, kind of funding related. A lot of startups in this space are very much focused on that kind of investment income. Are there different income streams that are appropriate at different times or in different scenarios? Should it just be looking for the right investor, or are there other compelling ways to fund in different scenarios?
Yeah, early stage grants is a good income source, I would say, and that's also to get traction, because we usually, as investors, we would like to see some traction. So it's a market for solution, need some money from the beginning. So then, if you have grants as well, of course, if you get money from EU, then that's a good stamp for us on the companies. but also planning the investment journey. I think it's important. That's why we spent also a month with the companies in the program, so that they can plan the investment journey. If they start fundraising when they need money, it's a big risk that they'll need to just shut down the company because you don't get it enough. You should have enough time to fundraise. So we want the startups to get in the right investors and plan the investment journey, because that is also crucial to get in the right investors. You would like the investors that are having the same targets that you have. I know it's easy to say as an investor to say that to startups, but think through that. So don't take just the money. If you're not aligned, then I wouldn't take the money at all costs.
Lots to think about there. Now, of course you can. Quickly before you do, please get your questions ready. I'm going to do a couple more questions over here and then jump over to you. So I'm going to try and keep it moving here so we can get lots of questions, because I'm sure lots of you are ready to do a little interrogation. Be nice with your questions. Go on, Sarah.
I just want to confirm what you just said about getting people that are aligned with your mission, because money finish, but people stays, and you want the person to stay behind to bring skill that you didn't have before, and to work with you to make the company successful. And I was very lucky in that, but we were also very selective. So yeah, it's very true.
Money goes, but people stay. They say something like that about age or something like that, but we'll move on from that. Speaking about commercial potential, so we've heard from an investor perspective. Mark, can you just give us some insight in terms of what you see as the commercial potential, particularly in the tourism sector for underwater gardens?
Sure. Maybe one of the things that I left in my explanation is that it is conceived and designed to go into mature destinations. These mature destinations already have an economic motor that's in motion, but they have the bad effects on the environment. So an underwater garden can take advantage of that economic motor, increase it in its effects, and then allow for this tourism to become a force of good, a force of change, and a force of positive impact in nature, making the system resilient in this way. So the money streams of the project are, one is the common one, so the entry ticket. But obviously, as we are already accustomed to these apps where you buy extra things, so the whole motor is there. So it's an economical machine that allows them to reinvest in a free way into the investigation and the development of specific technologies for specific locations. And so what we have developed is a specific protocol that can be applied to any place, and that integrates whatever knowledge is there. I often talk about cloud architecture. I mean, what decides the shape of a cloud is not the ego projection of an author, but is somehow the combination of factors. So the strategy that Underwater Guides does is sort of creating a cloud. We land in a specific place, so we give a voice to any of the stakeholders that are in place. And that feeds the economic system, reactivates the economic system, and feeds all the little businesses that are in the local area.
Fantastic. Sam, Coral Vita, you've already given us a little bit of insight in terms of the commercials. What's your projections in terms of the level of impact you can have with tourism?
Big. I mean, it's definitely one of the things we're focused on, right?
Yeah.
So the idea that we want to have our ultimate vision. Ultimate vision is that we're put out of business because there's no more reefs left to restore, but we're not really heading in that direction as a world. So we really think there needs to be large-scale land-based coral farms in every nation with reefs around the world, and that they're financially sustainable, and that tourism really represents a huge way to drive funding, which again turns into impact. It turns into dollars that funds restoration. So there's also smaller scale projects we're looking at as potential pilots to test out different things. So there's a resort in the Maldives that's interested in actually setting up a small scale farm at their resort. So that's just another offering for people to come stay at their location, because they can actually participate in the process and then obviously get in the water and see and experience the reefs themselves. But this idea that we can sell to resorts and governments and everyone has a stake in it, while then making the farms themselves being these revenue generating attractions in and of themselves, but also tying that in with really interesting conservation finance products. So there's a little reference to this yesterday, but there are policies being developed by the insurance industry, looking at how, again, coral reefs can protect coastlines from storms. So if a hotel not only can show that they're doing good and draw in snorkel and scuba tourists, but then also potentially see their premium go down because they've restored a reef, you just sort of unlock more opportunities to do better work. And then we're also looking at ways that we can sort of tell this story to get more people aware of and wanting to come to these places. So we actually did a brand partnership deal last year with Corona Beer in the UK. So there's a Corona Beer reef getting restored. Maybe one day there could be a Cody reef. But this idea that also, again, gets more people aware not only of what we're doing, but the issue. Because hopefully, again, more people are advocating to protect coral reefs in the first place. But by doing that, it funds the work, but then it's another story to get people to think about, oh, maybe I should go visit Grand Bahama on my vacation because there's this cool Corona reef that I could check out and see this whole experience of the reef coming back to life. So yeah, there's a lot of different ways of tapping into that as a commercial revenue stream, while again, we're working on a range of other revenue streams as well.
So much creativity in all the different commercial revenue streams. Sarah, from your perspective, where do you see the commercial potential for shark-safe barriers?
Well, when we started, the idea was to replace the shark nets and the baited hooks that are currently used for killing sharks. So the idea at the beginning was the 46 beaches we have in South Africa that have these nets there, and the 51 in New South Wales, and there is more in Queensland. And then we have been working with Ocean Hub Africa. We were one of their first startup. And then we realized that the market is much bigger than that, because we can have private clients, such as cruises that has a little island that they want to protect their tourists. We have private clients that are just wealthy and they want to protect their little beach. And immediately we had to be a bit more artistic about our proposal, because we have a private client that can afford to buy a barrier, and then we still have municipality that would love to have it for free. So we have to approach financial institution to put in the initial capital and loan it to the municipality, so that the municipality can dilute the payment over their 5-6 years. We get it in, and we also create a job for the local community. So our other revenue stream is empowering the local community to take care of the barrier. So we will have people to maintain it, to clean it, and to run educational program. And we will have a sort of quality check every year for these services. So every time we have a barrier installed, then we can also generate income for the company.
My heart is so warm with the creativity around the commercials, because it's useful to see so many different solutions to really big problems that are also so commercially viable as well.
And it's different, you know. Because we work globally, every client is not completely, but mostly, they all have their own characteristics that we have to learn and adapt. So that's how it happened, that we have to be creative.
And adaptation is definitely the name of the game. So over 450 organizations signed the Glasgow Climate Declaration, Climate Action in Tourism, which is a commitment for a decade of tourism climate action. Thomas, for an organization so large, some might say that it's a trend for large companies to get behind big ideas around climate, etc., so that it looks very good for them. And how are you doing things differently at Lancaster, that it's not just let's sign a declaration or let's jump on the back of a bandwagon of wanting to do good?
Thank you for that question first, because I feel quite strongly about this. I think for me, and like I said in one of the previous answers, I don't think sustainability can be a campaign or a trend. It's not a band-aid that you put to cover up an issue. It has to be truly integrated in your business, and obviously, whether you're a large or small business, it happens maybe in different ways and in different types of transformations. But I think the way that we look at it at Coty is really about making sure that sustainability is ingrained in everything that we do, in every decision that we make, and most importantly in innovation. So anything that we do, like we said, it is science-based, it's based on scientific data and research. So it's not just following trends and reading magazines, but it's actually facts. And that's the importance, because we know that this is how we're going to drive positive change in the longer run. And beyond the research, which a lot of it is internal, we're also working with external research partners as well. We also have a certification from Cradle to Cradle. Most of you might be familiar, really a gold standard in sustainability. And we evaluated with them the material, we were part of the material health certification, which reviews all of the raw materials, the ingredients, the filters that go into our formulations, to make sure that they're respectful of coral and ocean safe. So, you know, it's not just internal, it's also certified by external parties. And I think that's what we're trying to encourage with the wider industry is to say, you know, take real actions, make sure that science is at the heart of it, because for me, that's really where innovation in our field at least comes from. And really have credible facts, credible external certifications that help you get that true, you know, sustainable credibility that will build the trust with your consumers and with, you know, everyone around you.
Brilliant. The science-based approach is really hitting me in terms of the approach that you've taken. This is my last question for the panel before I come to the audience, so it's kind of a heads up for whoever's running the microphone, but also for you to know it's coming in your general direction. Ingrid, I think what Thomas has really led us into is the idea of impact, real impact. As an investor in this space, how do you measure the impact of a company's solution?
I think that's another $1 million question.
I'm all for the $1 million questions.
No, but it's good. It's evolving a lot. And then I started working with social impact 14 years ago, I think. But measuring part, that's been the issue, and that's what we're working on in the whole industry, I think. And I think a few years ago it was enough to say that you had an impact. You could have like marketing campaigns, just okay, we have an impact, that's good, and people just okay, that's fine. Now you actually need to prove that as well. So you need numbers, and I understand that's difficult for startups to have numbers because investors are asking these questions now. So what's your impact and how can you prove your impact? So we're also spending 1 month of the program working with starting very high level, okay, what's the problem solution? Just have a clear definition of that and your impact. And then diving into a theory of change. Okay, you want this change, how are you going to get there? So what's the step on the way, and what can you measure going there? So what's the outputs of your activities? So you could maybe, how many coral reefs are you actually producing? And then putting it back into the water, okay, what's the effect there in the water? Then that's the outcome of that, and the impact is saving the ocean there. So you're working very closely with the startups on that, because I think also we have a golden window in the program where we can work very closely with them. It's intense, but still they sit down and we push them through this, and they have to make deliverables on this, and then we have the metrics for later so that we can follow up on that. So if they have, we just start with something. It's better to start with 1 or 2 metrics and start measuring that, and then you'll build out after. I've seen Will here from Ocean Bottle. They started with he's behind there. So they started with just okay, what's their picking plastics or paying for funding plastic collection in Southeast Asia, and then so each Ocean Bottle is actually funding 1,000 plastic bottles collection of that or equivalent. But then also now they're looking at the whole circle. So what's the impact of the whole production of the bottle? They have one of the producers where actually had solar panels on a roof to be more sustainable in the production, and also the whole thing can be recycled. So they're thinking also, okay, we can switch different parts here, so that it's people don't use it 1 year or 2 years. If something breaks, then they can replace it. So they're quite far there in how they're working with impact.
But there's always a starting point from which you can start to expand out. You can't ignore impacts. You can't ignore the measurement of it.
No.
Especially if you're looking for investment.
Yeah. So I would also, so we're mentioning also Ocean Impact Navigator yesterday. I think that's giving good overview of the ocean space, because that's also a problem. It's a lot of different methodologies and a lot of papers. Everybody wants to solve this, so it's a jungle out there. But I think that's giving a good overview, and then we're taking that and working very closely with the startups to understand, and then we also do follow-on investments in the best performing of the 52 companies that we have. So when we do the follow-up, we're stepping into the SFDR 8 and 9, and then we really need to step up our game as well, because we need to report the impact that we have. We can't say to our investors that we have an impact without proving it.
Without being able to prove it, so that provability becomes incredibly important. So I'm guessing some of you are kind of chomping at the bit to ask a question. First hand up goes first. Don't all rush at once. There's a gentleman over there in the corner. So if you can put your hand all the way up so that the microphone can come to you. Thank you. And if you let us know your name and what organization you're from, that'd be really helpful.
Yeah, hi.
There we go.
Yeah, hi. My name's Richard Hickson. I'm a critical care consultant in the NHS. I'm part of the Minderoo Monaco Commission on Plastics and Human Health, which is why I'm here. We launched yesterday. It's a great report. Please read it. And I'm also co-founder of Healthcare Ocean, a not-for-profit. I'd like to just carry on with this impact thread, if you don't mind. And Lavelda, you picked my question. But what I want to know, Ingrid, is does timescale come into your assessments? Because obviously the oceans are warming at such a fast rate. They are acidifying faster than any time that we've been able to measure. I mean, they're acidifying faster than the time period prior to the end Permian extinction, which saw the end of 90% of all sea life. Now, we haven't got many decades to turn this ship around. So do you look at timelines as well for the return on your investment for nature, biodiversity, and climate change?
Yes, we don't have much time. We are patient investors, but on this topic, we're not that patient. So we want the startups to start having their impacts straight away. Of course, we look at the impact and the commercial potential in the companies. If they have really big impact potential, we accept a little bit lower income potential, or the market is small. But if it's a huge impact, so it's a balance there. We also want them to plan, okay, what are we going to measure when, and set. Also, we see that we need to set goals for that as well. So to make a plan for impact, so impact roadmap, if you say. Working with the startups on that.
Brilliant. Thank you for the question. There's another question. Okay, firstly, right at the back, the man in the blue suit. If you can put your hand up again. Yes, that would be you. And then I can see the lady a little bit further up in the lighter blue suit. It's all about the blues today.
Hi, Steve Culbertson from Youth Service America. My question is really about negative coastal tourism. I'm a big diver. One of the things that I hate the most when I'm in South Africa, which is kind of my second home, are these shark cage expeditions. And I say to people, would you go on a safari if they were throwing meat off the back of the Land Rover and the animals were coming out and getting all riled up? I mean, that's exactly what they do with the sharks, off the coast of South Africa. My question is, where do you guys see negative coastal tourism, and what can we do about it?
Oh, negative coastal tourism. How did I know Sarah was going to be first? Fellow diver here.
Yes, there are quite some misconceptions about the way why shark diving tourism works in South Africa, because it's very, very, very regulated. So the way I like to explain it is that tourism makes the shark financially worth to be alive. In a perfect world, we won't need something like that. We could leave every animal alone. But in an imperfect world where we live, a white shark's jaws sells for $1 million, even though they are illegal to catch. So there is still a market for that. Without showing that ecotourism like this will make these animals alive more financially valuable for the local community than getting it fished, without that, the local community will fish it. So what cage diving do is attracting sharks close to the vessel that are already in the area. The sharks don't get fed. They just get attracted close to the vessel. There are also studies showing that they can ignore the charms leak altogether if it is a good day for them to hunt. They are not residential in the area. And what these boats do is also providing a platform to collect very valuable data on these animals, because boats are expensive. And you need boat, you need crew, you need fuel. So having tourism paying for that allows local scientists to collect this data. But I must say it is very, very, very well regulated.
I would
Okay,
also...
and then we'll go to Ingrid after you, Sam.
Sorry.
No, that's okay.
Yeah, I think also before COVID, but I think also after COVID, there's a lot of research that's been done that responsible tourism, experience-based tourism, environmental or social, like people want meaningful experiences more and more. And so I just think that you're seeing a lot of sort of traditional all-inclusive resorts actually already starting to change. And I think a lot of them have a track record historically that isn't so great. So I think those who don't change from negative tourism are going to get left behind. I don't think we're going to be able to drive things system-wide on our own, but I think a lot of people in this room can, and I think people are also just going to understand that they have to. And so right now, we're also looking for expanding new countries, and we choose, you were saying earlier, your investors judiciously, but also partners judiciously. We are the first ones to say, again, best thing to do for reef is not to restore it, it's to stop killing it. So we also won't give people cover to keep doing destructive practices because they say, oh, look, we restored this reef and it's all good. So I think there's a real opportunity for people to actually just see the light and see the bottom line. So if anyone has in this room, we're looking for new partners also. If people know folks that are trying to protect coral reefs and ecosystems, give us a shout. We're also raising a new round to try and achieve those things as well. So I think that we have a real opportunity, again, to showcase, but also just tap into the exact currents and trends that are happening regardless of really the actions that we're taking.
And then really quickly, Ingrid, because I've noticed we've run out of time.
Just we as tourists have responsibility as well, and investors, of course. So we wouldn't. It's important to look at the risks as well in the investment opportunities, and you see potential negative risks. But I think also regulation. You mentioned that is also can be a push for investors and tourists. In Norway, they're forbidding like the big cruise ships to go into some of the fjords, so they can't go with diesel engines in there. They need electrical. They need to be carbon zero boats. So then regulators are pushing the development and innovation.
So we're moving in the right direction. I'm sorry, ma'am, I'm not going to be able to get to your question at this time because otherwise we'll be here the whole time. However, it's a fab networking opportunity. So Sarah, Ingrid, Thomas, Sam, and Mark, thank you all so much for your time. Can you please give them a beautiful, warm round of applause?
Thank you.
Yes? You want to be standing? Yes. Okay. No problem. Okay. So, just a little, change of scenery behind me as we go. How's everybody doing? Good? Is everybody awake or still in need of coffee or something? Always in need of coffee. Some of you a little bit awake, some of you a little bit asleep. So I'm going to do a little something with you. Have we got a pulse in the room? Yes. Okay, over here, but not over here. Let's try again. Have we got a pulse in the room? Yes. There we go. So this next session is a fireside conversation with a gentleman who was raised in Monaco, so very familiar with Monaco, former Formula One world champion with the Drivers' Championship, who has had the pleasure of calling Hamilton and Schumacher his former teammate. Now an ecopreneur and eco-investor who's invested in over 20 green value-based businesses, founder of Green Tech Festival, with an aim to beat his success on the racetrack with his success as an eco-entrepreneur and eco-investor. Please give an incredible warm round of applause to Nico Rosberg. Hello, hello. Welcome.
Pleasure to be here.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you
How are we
here.
standing here like this?
Oh, it's okay. You know, we can take up space. We can take up space. So, first question for you, and it's probably one you're sick of answering, but it's one I'm sure is just kind of hanging about in the room anyway. How on earth does somebody go from racing cars to looking after the environment? Where does that transition even come from?
Yeah, I must say, when you were introducing me, that was quite a contrast there, from the emission-blowing Formula One driver to becoming involved in impact entrepreneurship. You know, so yes, I understand, but it's really about searching for more purpose in life. After my career as a sportsman, and I have 2 young daughters at home. They're 5 and 7. And I think that's really motivating me as well to kind of be a good role model to them, show them a good way in life, and so that's why I'm also taking them along, you know, on my hand. So we did a big tree planting initiative where I took my daughter then with me, and we're planting trees together. I hopefully want to inspire them a little bit on this journey as well.
And how are they finding things like getting involved? Do you find that sometimes those like little magic moments with your daughters kind of inspires something else in the eco space for you?
Certainly, yeah, of course. You want to create that multiplier effect, you know, and the next generation is going to be so important. So I really hope that all of us do our part really to take the next generation along in this path. So you're the founder of Green Tech Festival, which is an ecosystem of disruptive entrepreneurs in this space and innovation. So take this, lots of people, let's just think of it that way, this kind of thing, but loads and loads of people. What is your vision for the ocean innovation, and what are you especially excited about? Because you must see loads of innovations. Yeah, so I co-founded the Green Tech Festival. We have 13,000 participants in Berlin every year, so it's very big. And it's bringing together all the different stakeholders, so from politics, NGOs, of course, large caps, government, as I said, startups, everything comes together. So it's like this, but times 100 probably. And that's been a very, very exciting journey. And in terms of what interests me most when it comes to ocean, probably plastic. That's something that I'm most interested in. That really touches me the most, and so those are the kind of projects that I've been supporting lately, and we'll come to some of those, I think, a little bit later, so I'll let you continue first.
So we have loads of innovators in the room, and loads of investors, and you may have just seen there's a lot of conversation in the back of the innovators' heads about how do I get this investment, what's important, what are you looking for? As an investor yourself, how do you identify and select some of these deals? What are the things that really spring out to you that say, that right there, that's what we need to go with?
Yeah, so Olivier, you have 100 million to deploy soon. so yeah, you need to raise them first, and then you're going to have them to deploy 100 million. That's quite a mission. So I do a lot of startup investing, and essentially the rule number 1 is you invest in the people, in the founding team, the founder, because it doesn't matter how good the idea is. If the founder is mediocre, it's never going to get to anything. And I've seen it so often that the initial idea is anyways completely different to then where the company goes in future. It will pivot so many times. And so it really comes down to the founding team. I think that's something that's commonly understood anyways, but I've seen it also, it's 100% the case. And then the second one is, of course, the market size, the potential market size, because potential market size equals potential impact. And so those are 2 very important criteria, I would say, when deciding on an investment.
I'm going to kind of push you a little bit further around the team, because we've heard a few people mention over the last few days the team's really important. Are there any particular qualities of the team that you say that's a standout quality that really pulls me in versus another organization?
Yeah, it depends. It can be quite varied. I mean, it can be the technological understanding of the problem, of the challenge. So it's the engineering CEO, or it can also be more of a storytelling CEO. Yeah, it really depends which spectrum. But if there's a storytelling CEO, it's very important that there's also someone below him who's like a tech genius. You know, it needs to always match very well, and needs to be complementary. Which one are you of those? From Vita Coral. You're the storyteller.
So you have super genius scientists within your team that you've picked and put together. Huh? Exactly. So that works perfectly, and that's why you're such a big success now. But coming to corals, if I can touch on it, I went to the Maldives in 1997 with my parents, and we did a week of scuba diving. And I remember it because it's such a long ago, but as a young child, you remember the colors, the fish. It was really magical. And now, in 2021, so that's 24 years later, 23 years later, I went back to the Maldives. It was my first time back. And I take my daughter at the time, and we go with our snorkeling equipment. We go to the end of the pier, jump in, and I'm expecting to see the same as my memory from 1998, where I was a small child with my parents. And I jump in, and I promise you, like, the shock, it's just 100% gray. There was not a single color in the ocean. And I'm like, it was really like, what is going on here? It was unbelievable. Yes, of course, there's still a lot of beautiful fish, but the whole thing was gray. It was shocking. And that's why I think it's so cool what you're doing as well. And accelerating the growth of the corals by 50x is unbelievable because, of course, there's a challenge. They grow very slowly. So that's very, very cool. And in fact, the island where we were this year, called Vela in the Maldives, they have a huge coral regrowth initiative with 4 people working full time, and it was beautiful to see how the corals are really like they really have large plantations by now. It was really lovely to see, and that's a big benefit when you're snorkeling. It was beautiful, and not only the corals itself, but the fish that they attract. And it becomes a wonderful ecosystem which is redeveloped. It was lovely.
It's the personal stories that really get me, because I think we've all got some sort of relationship to the ocean. And especially when you can experience such a contrast, I guess that gives you even more motivation to continue to do the great work that you're doing. So during the lunch break that we're going to be having later on today, we'll be going to be hosting a tasting of plant-based shrimp from a company called Happy Foods. Can you tell us a little bit more about this innovation?
Yeah, so I don't know if you know the show Shark Tank or Dragon's Den in the UK. So I'm one of those. I'm a dragon or shark on the show in Germany. And here in come the founders. You never know what's coming. And your investor, they pitch you, and you have to decide do you invest or not. And you battle the other investors. And in come this startup called Happy Foods. And they did vegan shrimp. It's completely plant-based. And because that's going to be the next disruption. We've seen the meat industry being disrupted by Beyond Meat, by Impossible Foods, and next is going to be the fish industry. And so, they really got my attention because we know of the problem from shrimp. I mean, it's a huge issue. 80% of the plastic in the ocean is from fishing nets, and the shrimp farming, fishing also, it destroys the sea floors with the ocean floors with the trawling, destroys the seagrass. I think 30% of is byproduct, it's dolphins, etc., that get caught in the net and just die on the way. And then further than that, there's also the microplastic issue that is within all the shrimp that we catch in the ocean, and of course also antibiotics in the shrimp farming. So it's all these problems that vegan shrimp can help to reduce. So I invested, and I'm looking forward to your feedback. You're going to get them at lunch. You can try our vegan shrimp. If you don't like them, please don't say so. Keep it to yourself.
Keep that to yourself.
But I'm sure you'll be quite impressed, actually.
So now I'm curious. Did you have to fight the other dragons for it?
Oh, it was a big fight. Yeah, it was a big fight. So that's what makes the show, essentially, is that battle with the other. When a cool startup comes in, everybody wants to jump on it. So you have to be very, very smart. And in the end, I had to partner up with one of them. So we co-invested. Otherwise, I risked losing it. So I had to partner up, and it worked out good.
So all that strategy from F1, it's come into play right here.
Makes a big difference.
It makes a huge difference. So that will be at lunchtime, and later on, the panel immediately after, that will be at this break, and immediately afterwards, we've got a few other organizations who are also looking into the different kind of food spaces. So, we get to taste some vegan shrimp.
And Olivier, we need to talk, because we have our next funding round coming up. We need to talk. There's 100 million to deploy, Olivier. I'm just kidding.
So you launched Roseburg Philanthropies, a word I really don't love having to say because it always twists my tongue up. Can you tell us a little bit more about the mission?
Yes, so I launched my own foundation recently, very exciting. And we're starting off with a big partnership with Oxford University. So what I'm doing is I am paying for the salaries for PhD alumni, and I am then placing those PhDs in enterprises, whether it's NGO or corporates, and they are going to be working on one of the biggest needs of that NGO or corporate. And in this example, I am placing a PhD from Oxford into the ocean cleanup, which is an NGO, one of the most famous NGOs in the world. It's unbelievable what they're doing. Because in the Pacific Ocean, because of the currents, there's a great Pacific garbage patch, it's called, and it's 3 times the size of France. And the ocean cleanup has developed a massive technological system where they are retrieving from the ocean, from the garbage patch, 100,000 kilograms per month. And soon the technology is going to be improved to reach up to 1 million kilograms per month. And the patch is 80 million kilograms. So it's going to take like 15 years or something, and he's going to clean up the whole Pacific Ocean from the plastic, which is really, I mean, it's unbelievable. And what I'm doing with the PhD student is he is a data analytics expert using artificial intelligence, and they have gathered so many samples from all their collecting over the past years, but they've never had the time really to perfect the analysis of those samples. So we're coming in with this PhD student, and he's going to analyze all the samples, and in effect then the learnings from that might result in a modification of the technology, because they might see that there's especially a large amount of a certain kind of fish of a certain kind of dimension. So let's put more sonar or more lighting systems that deter that kind of fish on the technology. And so this is the work that the PhD student is going to do now, and I'm sure it's going to have a big impact. And so that's the kind of work that we're doing with our foundation.
And you mentioned a little bit about the work with Oxford University. Where do you see those sorts of partnerships with universities kind of fitting into our climate change agenda in really accelerating some of the work that a lot of people in this room and yourself are doing?
It's very easy. I mean, universities have to be at the table all the time because the smartest people in the world are there. And they're ready to go, ready to have impact. And I can see that now with the work that I'm doing with Oxford. It's unbelievable how clever these students are. I think it's going to be really powerful. So universities have a very, very important role to play.
And why did you start the foundation? I mean, you're doing great work anyway. You've got Green Tech Festival. What was the thinking behind starting a foundation as well?
It's searching for a passion also. I really hope that I'll come to a point with the foundation that I'll get up every morning, I'll be like, wow, I can't wait to get going and create more impact, which is today not 100% the case yet. I'm still exploring and looking for those passions, but I hope to find them more and more. Because I stopped my racing 6 years ago, and I had not thought of anything else apart from driving fast in a circle until then, and I was 31 years old, so it's been 6 years of opening my eyes, looking around, and just searching for different ways.
I mean, in 6 years, you've dived in fully, excuse the pun, we're talking about oceans. You've achieved an incredible amount in as short as 6 years, and in a completely different industry and sector. What's your big vision for where you see this going? Because you're clearly not thinking small.
Me?
Yes.
So me, I would be super happy if in 10 years there's some measurable kind of impact that I have generated with all my entrepreneurship, something that's measurable, which we're getting towards, but that's kind of the vision. And then hopefully I come back to my children as well. I hope I inspired my kids along the way. That's very important for me. And maybe that we find some common passions on this journey that I can do with my kids, like the tree replanting that we did and more of that. That would be lovely. Or maybe some coral redevelopments together, something like that.
Loads of examples of what that could be in the room. So this particular event is very much about collaboration. It's about pulling people from hand-selected individuals to come together and create a forum for conversation to move a lot of very innovative projects together. If there was one word of inspiration that you could leave for those who are in the room today and who are involved in innovation, innovative projects that impact the ocean, what would that be?
No, I don't want to be here and preach. What I can say is I think it's good if all of us try and spend a little bit of time on these kind of topics, on these impactful topics, and find our own way. And I think that's very valuable already in our own capacity.
Nico, it has been an absolute pleasure speaking with you. Ladies and gentlemen, please give him a warm round of applause.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much again to you, Nico Rosberg. Thank you as well to you, Lovelde, for that great moderation of those two panels and that fireside chat. Let's give her a round of applause. And we're going to take a little photo while Olivia and Nikki are taking a photo, having their photo shoot. It's time for all of us now to have a 30-minute coffee break. We'll start back up again about 11:45 with a look at sustainability in seafood as we get ready for that lunch with the happy food. Have a great break.